Hi, I'm Lee with the Microsoft Teams App Factory. Digital transformation is hard, and now we have to do more with less. Less time, less resources, even less people. Well, what? Whoa! Well, what if I told you that we could automate some of those mundane tasks from your day-to-day, freeing your time up so that you can spend it on things like positively impacting your business and transforming it? And what if I told you that you didn't have to be a fancy developer to do any of that? And what if I told you that you could use your existing Microsoft licensing to do all of this? Well, I bet you'd say, hey Lee, show me how. And that is exactly what we're going to do on the next edition of the Teams App Factory. No code, no problem. So, register using the link on your screen or in your email, and I'll see you there. Hello everyone, good morning. And depending on where you're joining us from today, good afternoon, good evening, or even good night. Welcome to today's edition of the Microsoft Teams App Factory. My name is Lee Borschow. I'm a Customer Success Director at Microsoft, and today I will be your host and guide through a journey of employee experience, a journey of human resources, all centered around Microsoft Teams. And now to help kick us off, I'm going to bring in a very special guest, Mr. Richard Calderon, who is a member of the Customer Success Organization at Microsoft, and he's going to help set the stage for everything that you're about to see today. So welcome, Richard. Thank you for joining us today at this edition of the Teams App Factory. You're a Senior Customer Success Manager. Could you tell us a little bit about what that role is?
Sure. As a customer success manager, my job is really to try to help customers take full advantage of the investment they've made in all the Microsoft modern work capabilities, specifically around Microsoft Teams. So really just trying to understand how do you get past the basics of Teams, that is kind of chatting and using it for meetings, but really getting to the point where it becomes a natural part of your day-to-day workflow and process. So that includes things like applications in Teams and other experiences that effectively make it a part of what you need to get done every day.
So working with all of these strategic customers in the southern United States, what sort of things are you hearing from HR departments in terms of challenges that they're facing in this new world of work?
Sure. So one of the most common themes that we tend to hear when speaking with HR departments at most of our customers is the fact that because work really and what work looks like has just changed dramatically over the past couple of years now, how to really effectively take employees, whether they're new to the company or employees that have been with the company for years, really through that ongoing journey as an employee with the company, ensuring they have all the information, resources, connections to people that they really need to be successful, and obviously individually successful, but also in the way that they contribute to the organization. So one of those areas, again, that I hear quite a bit, certainly centers around best ways to ensure that you can help onboard employees effectively, to ensure that they have the ability at any point in time to be able to get the information that they need or to get help when they need help. How do they continue to learn about what they need to accomplish within the context of their role, or as they're changing to new roles and advancing in their career at a company, how do they continue to learn about all the things and skills that they would need? And then certainly there's an ask around when employees leave the business at some point, whatever the circumstances may be for that, what's the best way to ensure not to lose the critical knowledge that has been gained and has been hopefully at least delivered in some way so that the company can be able to take advantage of that. So those are definitely common themes that we hear from most HR departments.
So all of those challenges that you just spoke about, that seems like a rather daunting task that HR departments are now faced with to remedy. How are you positioning Teams as a way to help these customers, and specifically these HR business units, in accomplishing and mitigating all of that?
As customer success managers, our role is really to try to help our customers gain the most value that they can out of Microsoft Teams. And again, that goes really well beyond just the core capabilities of chatting and meetings, and more specifically now into how do you embed business process and be able to leverage Microsoft Teams to ensure success in the context of your role. And so the way that we see that these days now is to integrate various types of applications into Teams, whether they be applications from Microsoft, whether they be custom-built applications that are developed commonly on the Power Platform, or even third-party applications from the growing list of ISV vendors that provide integrations into Microsoft Teams. But through these various applications, most companies, HR departments, internal communications departments, can really help address and solve a number of these problems that we've talked about.
So what you're saying is by taking all these external tools and processes and bringing them inside of Teams, we're really creating a single environment that is built around ease of use, ease of access, and efficiency. And these are some qualities that can be supremely valuable to not only an employee who's new to the company and doesn't really know where anything is or feels encumbered by the number of places that they normally would need to go to find information and do the tasks that come with onboarding into a company. But this is also valuable to our existing employees who have their own life cycle of employment and will continue to use these assets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think about an employee who's a remote worker, and on day one of their new job, they've been delivered a laptop that they received, and they're able to open it up, get logged in. They would have access to Outlook at the very least for mail and calendaring, but then they also have Microsoft Teams, which allows them to get all the information that they need, the tools, the apps, the resources, the connection to people to really get up and running again. That is extremely valuable to lots of organizations.
So it sounds like you and the customer success organization are doing a lot of great work with customers. Thank you for coming in here today and sharing some of the experience that you've had working with various HR departments. And to everyone watching and listening, let's go now and dive deeply into exactly the type of solutions that Richard and his peers are building on Teams for our customers that address this exact topic. Thanks, Richard. Okay, so what do we mean by the automated employee experience? Well, this is a demonstration of how we might solve for some of the human resources and employee lifecycle challenges that Richard just spoke about, and how we might use Teams as the delivery mechanism for our employees to interact with these solutions. And we've gone ahead and divided up this demonstration into 4 key scenarios that we believe to be impactful and relevant and of high value. Each of these scenarios could easily stand on its own, but when they come together, they create something really special. The first scenario is all about how do we take those new employees, onboard them into the company, and get them connected with company culture and key things that they need to have access to and integrate with in order to begin their career. So to do this, we're going to leverage some readily available free app templates from GitHub and some components of our employee engagement solution, the Viva suite. Scenario 2 is going to be all about employee self-service, empowering our employees to self-serve the information and the tasks that they need when they need it, right within Teams. We're going to show some integration into some key, very popular third-party solutions, that being Workday and ServiceNow. But these could easily be any other external third-party platforms that are relevant to your organization. In the third scenario, we're going to consolidate a number of fragmented learning systems, and we're going to put them all under the hood of Viva Learning, surfaced to our users inside of Teams. This is going to create a great user experience for them to check the box on all the mandatory training, as well as giving them the opportunity to keep their skills current as they grow in their role inside the company. And finally, we're going to address turnover. When new folks need to step into the shoes of the people that have left the company and establish themselves as the new SME or owner of a particular asset or function, we're going to show how can an employee transition their role to another employee, ultimately producing less disruption to the overall business. And we're going to accomplish this, again, using a piece of the Viva suite, this being Viva Topics, along with some of those line of business app templates that we showcase in scenario 1. And the common thread running through all of these scenarios, you'll notice on the screen an icon that says PVA. This stands for Power Virtual Agent, and it is a component of the Microsoft Power Platform. In this particular demonstration, we've created a custom automated human resources employee assistance bot. It's a lot of words, but this is the engine that's going to drive the activity and support our employee through his or her employment journey. And we've done it all with low to no code, and we've surfaced it all to our employees right within Teams for the best possible user experience and the best likelihood that they will actually use the tools that they're given. To show you how all of these tools and scenarios come together, I'm going to present it in a way that may be a little new to some of you. I'm going to take you through a day in the life of a new hire, Lee, in a fictitious company named Contoso Electronics. See, Nestor, who was the senior product engineer, is now retiring, and taking his place is Lee, who is coming from the outside as a new hire, and we're going to follow Lee through his employment journey, from onboarding all the way through until the day that Nestor actually retires and leaves the company, and Lee has established himself fully in his new role. So without further delay, let's jump straight into Lee's first day at Contoso and experience how he's able to leverage all of these tools and technology built and delivered by the HR department right in Teams for use by Contoso employees in their everyday work life. It's Lee's very first day in his new role at Contoso, and he's going to be faced with a laundry list of tasks and assignments that he needs to complete as part of the onboarding process, as well as becoming familiar with a number of new systems that he has never used before. And then also trying to find a way to engage with and connect with company culture, things like interest groups and messages from leadership. And all of this can be very, very cumbersome, but luckily for Lee, the HR department at Contoso has found a way to guide him through this onboarding process so he can get comfortable in his new role quickly and efficiently. Now, before we jump into Lee's first day, it's important for everyone to understand a capability that you may not be aware of, and that is HR-driven provisioning. And what this really means is that our Azure Active Directory has the ability to integrate with your cloud HR system. And when a new employee is created, terminated, rehired, or updated within the source of truth, which is your cloud HR system, we can then automatically populate those changes and provide things like network logins and things like license enablement for Office 365. Now, out of the box, this works with Workday and with SuccessFactors, but you can build and create your own integrations if you happen to use a different HR system. However, at Contoso, we use Workday, so that is where Lee was created when he was hired, and the place that he might go to view things like 401k and submit time off requests. So Lee has just completed his virtual onboarding event along with all the other new hires, and as soon as he closes the meeting, the very first chat that he is going to receive is from the Contoso HR onboarding bot. If you recall previously, I referred to this as the engine, and that's because it's going to be doing all the heavy lifting. It's going to be driving the onboarding process and guiding our new hire Lee through all of the various things that he's going to have to accomplish during this next week or so. And this is also the tool, this Power Virtual Agent, this bot, this is where we're going to keep coming back to for all things applicable to employment lifecycle. And beginning the usage of such a tool right at the very beginning of employment is a great way to begin building and driving the type of behaviors that will last throughout this employee's career at Contoso. Our onboarding bot is going to send Lee a card with a handful of tasks that need to be completed. Now, we're keeping this truncated so as not to completely overwhelm Lee. And we can see here that the new employee orientation has been completed by virtue of Lee attending the orientation Teams meeting. For each of the tasks, Lee has the ability to mark them complete right there in the bot card, or he can click to view the task and it will automatically take him to the new employee checklist, which is hosted inside the Welcome to Contoso team inside Microsoft Teams. By clicking the View task, it will take him directly to the list of cards that contain the various tasks along with their instructions. So in this case, Lee can click one of the cards, let's say Profile Setup, and he can view the instructions link to create his profile in Office 365, as well as mark the task complete from here. He can also see his assigned mentor for the task and have the ability to call or chat with them right inside of Teams from the card. He can also go into the new employee orientation card, which is the task that he already had completed. And we can see right here that there is the meeting link to the orientation meeting, as well as the fact that it is completed. As you can see, Contoso HR is already making Lee's life a little bit easier, organizing the various new hire tasks and then surfacing them to him in a way that's easy to consume. Lee is also starting to get the picture, hey, if I just pay attention to this one spot in Teams, this onboarding bot, it's going to tell me exactly what I need to do, and I don't need to worry about remembering everything and all the steps that they talked about during orientation. And our onboarding bot is even going to do some of these tasks for Lee. And we can see here that the bot notifies Lee that he has automatically been added to the new employee group inside of Yammer through Viva Engage. By clicking on the link that the onboarding bot has surfaced to Lee, it will take him directly to the Viva Engage application inside of Teams, where he can access the new employee Yammer group and begin connecting with other new hires in the company. Now notice that although Lee is interfacing with multiple different systems, he's never actually leaving the context of Microsoft Teams. And that's because number one, we've deployed all of these apps into Teams to allow for the integration to be in one UI. And then two, our onboarding bot is using something called deep links, which allows us to take an employee to a very specific area inside of Teams or a specific app inside of Teams with just one click. And now while Lee is accessing Yammer through the Viva Engage app, he's going to go click the Communities tab and then join a few of the communities that have interest for him right there by clicking on the Join button on each of the tiles. Lee will now hop back to the onboarding bot and give his thanks, which our onboarding bot of course knows how to reply to with "You're welcome." Lee will now go and take the time to revisit the task list and see what else he has time to complete. More specifically, Lee will click the Review Benefits card and now have access to the link, which will take him directly to the HR SharePoint site, which contains all of the benefit information that he needs to access. Again, never leaving the context of Teams. We can see here all the policy information for relocation, fitness discounts, paid holidays, everything that Lee would need to access as a new employee at Contoso. And he will now mark this onboarding task complete. Now fast forwarding a few hours, Lee is way ahead of schedule, and utilizing the onboarding bot has been able to complete a large number of tasks in his very first day. But see, Lee is not just onboarding into a company, he's also onboarding into a department, more specifically the product engineering department, which has its own collection of resources and assets specific to its department employees. Likely a SharePoint site, a team inside Microsoft Teams. These things can be a little difficult to locate, especially if you have a large number of teams and SharePoint sites in the organization. So now our onboarding bot will take the step to automatically add Lee to the correct team for his department and then surface a link for him to easily access it. By clicking the link in the bot message, Lee will be taken directly to the product engineering team, which he has been added. And in the product engineering team, there is a tab which hosts the new employee hub, a SharePoint site dedicated towards product engineering employees, giving them the resources they need to do their jobs. And when Lee clicks the Posts tab in the New Employee Zone channel, he will be presented with a message from a tool called Icebreaker. Icebreaker is a Teams app template that exists solely to help find matches between employees in a team channel and connect them to one another. This is super useful in this new hybrid work type of atmosphere that we live in, where employees of the same department may never actually physically meet each other face to face, because they may never actually work in the same building. So Icebreaker offers the opportunity to meet and connect with your colleagues despite that barrier. And now that Lee has been added to the product engineering team, Icebreaker will detect that and then send him a chat message within Teams pairing him with Adele, who is a colleague within the same department. This is especially valuable for Lee as a new hire because yes, he may have a mentor or two as part of the onboarding process, but now he has the ability to be introduced directly with one of his coworkers and make that connection and start that working relationship. Lee will click the button inside the Icebreaker chat message, and that will allow him to send an introduction to Adele via Teams chat. Then from the very same Icebreaker chat message, he will have the ability to, with one click, create a virtual meetup with Adele. Now this will happen over a Teams meeting, and by clicking Propose Meetup, it will automatically find a free time for both parties, and then he'll click Send to send it off to Adele. Fast forwarding a few hours, Lee's first day at Contoso is coming to a close, and our onboarding bot sends him one last reminder. This being about a virtual new hire event that is going to be happening that Lee needs to register for. So by clicking on the button, it will take him to the Viva Connections app, which is hosting the corporate SharePoint intranet right inside of Teams. Once Lee clicks on Viva Connections, he will have this slick dashboard view right alongside his corporate SharePoint intranet, and right there boosted is the article regarding the new hire virtual event. When Lee clicks on it, we'll take him straight to the article along with a link to the registration form, which Lee will click and complete and then submit. With that, Lee's first day at Contoso comes to a close, and he'll shut down for the day. We will then visit him tomorrow on his second day. In this next scenario, we're going to expand the scope of what our HR bot is surfacing to our employee Lee, specifically some key third-party systems that he is going to need to have easy access to as he continues his employment journey at Contoso. I'm going to show some systems that are very specific to Contoso. It's likely that you have these running inside your own organization. If you don't, and you use something different, integrations into that product can easily be built. Regardless, the key here, the key theme is self-service. We want to empower our employees to be able to do some of these common tasks on their own when they need to do them without overloading different departments with questions like our help desk or our HR department. And we will continue to enforce the behaviors from scenario 1, funneling everything through our automated HR bot. All of this is going to be very helpful for Lee because, again, he's not familiar with the environment yet. And for all of our users, consolidating all of this under one lens, that being through Teams, is a phenomenal user experience. And we're going to guarantee that some of these tools are being used because our users will have access to them in one spot every day. So here Lee is on his second day, and of course our onboarding bot, being helpful as it always is, will send him a friendly nudge to go and visit the cloud HR management system. For Contoso, this is Workday, and we'll surface this through a card directly in the Teams chat with the bot. And when this happens, it will present him a link to be able to directly open the Workday app inside of Teams. The Workday app is a bot in itself, and it will send a card that presents some common tasks that employees might be accessing most frequently. However, when he clicks Explore All, the app will surface a very thorough and complete list of the various tasks that employees can accomplish within the Workday system. For now, Lee's going to take care of a couple of high priority activities. First, he's going to enter an expense for the parking charge that he had the other day while he was at work. So he's going to enter it right there using the button inside of Workday and be able to submit the expense directly to Workday right through Teams. He'll then use the link that the Workday bot presents to create his expense report. This is actually a really cool thing that the Workday app does, in that every link it provides a user will jump them to the exact spot inside the Workday system that they need to go to. And if we've ever used Workday or any of these HRMS systems before, we know that it can get a little complicated as to where do I go for what. So with this, we're taking out all of the guesswork, perfect for a new employee. Also helpful for an existing employee like me, who after 8 years still struggles to remember where to go to do certain things. So after Lee submits his expense report, he's going to go back to the Workday bot, and he's going to select the option to enter some time off. Workday again will surface the correct link to Lee to go straight to the Enter Time calendar, where he's going to be able to directly input the time off for the holiday vacation he has planned with his family. And of course, Lee absolutely could go directly to the Workday interface and accomplish all of these tasks outside of Teams. However, as a new employee, that's not necessarily the greatest experience for him. He may not know where to go. He may need help finding the different links. And if we're really truly going to allow our employees to self-service, we want to give them a streamlined, easy to use interface and experience, or else they may not actually do it. So remember, with Teams being the hub for productivity and employee experience, this is the perfect place to begin to drive all these behaviors. The next system our HR bot is going to prompt Lee to become familiar with is the ServiceNow IT support desk system. This is where employees can report incidents, make service requests, all of the things that they would normally do when they contact the service desk. And we absolutely want this to be an area of employee self-service because we want to drive down the volume of calls in our service desk and empower our employees to do things like resetting passwords and whatnot on their own with a simple click. And so when Lee clicks the ServiceNow button that is presented by the HR bot, it takes him to, you guessed it, another bot, the ServiceNow bot, which will present Lee with a list of various topics. Now, this is completely customizable by your own IT department, but as you can see, we have a lot of options here. Listening to the suggestion from our HR bot, Lee is going to select the topic about enabling BitLocker drive encryption for his new work computer. The ServiceNow bot will begin to ask him a few questions to clarify what he needs in regards to enabling BitLocker. Lee will answer these questions and ultimately have the option to select a step-by-step instruction or a quick overview. By selecting step-by-step instructions, the ServiceNow bot will begin to prompt Lee with every step he needs to take on his computer to enable BitLocker. He's going to go through and do each one of those and then click for the next response. This is the exact set of instructions that a service desk representative would be giving Lee over the phone if he had called the service desk. However, doing it through Teams using the automated bot, he's able to avoid waiting for someone to pick up his phone call at the service desk, and he's able to do this himself on his own time. Once Lee has fully enabled BitLocker on his new work computer using the guidance from the ServiceNow bot, he is going to go on to the next IT task he needs to take care of. So staying within the context of the ServiceNow bot, Lee is going to indicate that there is more assistance that he needs, and he is going to select the option from the dropdown to search the knowledge base. This will give him a view directly into the Contoso IT knowledge base where he can search for additional specific knowledge articles that the ServiceNow bot did not have readily listed in the dropdown menu. Specifically, Lee will type the phrase VPN into the ServiceNow bot because this is one of the activities that our HR bot suggested that he'd set up on his computer. He will receive a list of knowledge articles and be able to click the relevant topic here, manually setting up his VPN. Clicking the topic link will launch a page with full instructions on setting up VPN, as well as a video Lee can watch if he needs detailed instructions. Once this is complete, Lee is going to return to the ServiceNow bot, and again using the drop-down menu, selecting the option to check ticket status. He is going to inspect the status of a ticket that he submitted yesterday manually by calling the help desk. Doing so will return a list of open service desk tickets where Lee is the requester. By clicking on the button that represents Lee's open ticket for monitor setup assistance, he's going to be able to directly see the status with any additional comments right within the ServiceNow bot window. He can see who it's assigned to and the last update. Lee will now leverage the ServiceNow bot to add his own comment to the ticket. He'll type it right into the bot interface, and this will automatically update the ticket for the service desk to see without Lee ever having to actually call the service desk. Now, we can accomplish a lot with knowledge bases and FAQs and things of that nature, but sometimes you do need to speak directly with another person. So right within the bot, Lee is going to select to connect himself with support. Once he clicks submit, the ServiceNow bot is going to begin collecting some information as to what type of issue Lee is having. It's going to present a few drop-down options so we can narrow down the topic. In this case, Lee needs assistance with joining his computer to Azure Active Directory. So he will select Windows and then click Submit, and then choose the option for assistance with joining or unjoining a computer from Azure Active Directory. Once all of this issue categorization is complete, the ServiceNow bot is going to do its best to try to present some relevant self-help information to Lee. Specifically here, we have a knowledge base that's been surfaced. Lee's going to click for more information and have the ability to read through it and see if this actually is going to solve his problem. After reading through all this information, Lee determines he really does need live assistance, so he is going to select from the bot the option to connect immediately with a live chat agent within Teams. Chat-based help is extremely efficient and effective, avoiding long hold times and allowing you to work and diagnose a problem when you may not be in an area that is conducive to being on the phone. So after Lee selects this option, he will be put in the queue. It will indicate that he has 9 seconds before he's connected to an agent. And once he is connected, right inside of Teams, using the power of Teams chat, his agent will be able to support his issue. Now, moving along, Contoso Human Resources has an initiative all around employee well-being. And a key element of this is effective time management. And to help accomplish this, Contoso has activated and deployed the free employee well-being tool, Viva Insights, accessible right within Teams. And so naturally, our HR onboarding bot is going to gently advise Lee that he use this application to begin setting up some recommended time management activities. So by launching Viva Insights from the HR bot, Lee will be brought to an interface where he can accomplish a number of employee well-being tasks. He will first give a quick reflection on how he's feeling today using the tile provided in Viva Insights, and then navigating to the Stay Connected tab at the top, he will be advised that he has not yet created a recurring one-on-one with his manager, Christy. So the first thing he will do is he will pin Christy to his connected collaborators, and then he will set an every 2-week cadence for a manager one-on-one, selecting the first date and then sending the invite directly from Viva Insights. Once Lee is all caught up, he'll return to the main Insights dashboard and select the next activity. This time he's going to choose to send praise to colleagues. He will choose to send praise to Grady, who was his mentor and onboarding buddy during the earlier HR onboarding event. He will type a note, choose a graphic, and then he has the ability to either post this publicly in a Teams channel or one-on-one directly to Grady. In this case, Lee will choose to post to a Teams channel and hit send. From this interface, he'll have the history of all the praise that he's sent to his colleagues over time, and he can actually schedule a reminder like he's doing right now to make this activity a weekly work habit. Returning back to the main Insights dashboard, we have a number of tiles that will allow our employees to create a structure around their time management. Lee begins by building a focus plan for an hour every day in the morning, where all notifications from Teams are muted, allowing him to prepare without distraction for the day. Viva Insights will automatically find the best time slots for Lee's focus time and book them on his calendar. Moving on, Lee will then create a plan for quiet time. And this is really to improve work-life balance. See, Lee does not work in a role that requires him to work after hours. So what he's going to do is use Viva Insights to automatically create a schedule that mutes all of his alerts on weekends. Lee will confirm the schedule, and now when he moves back to the Viva Insights Home tab, he clearly can see that both his focus plan and his quiet time are fully configured, and these are no longer recommended tasks. If he wanted to adjust anything, he could do it right there from the tiles. Lastly, since Lee is a fully virtual employee, he is going to set up a virtual commute Monday through Friday beginning at 5:30 p.m. And this is going to allow him to finish up extra tasks and wind down and disconnect mindfully like you may do if you had a physical commute and were in your car. And so if we fast forward a little bit to the end of Lee's day, he will receive a notification in his activity feed in Teams to begin his wrap up and to perform that virtual commute. The first thing we'll see is a quick overview of tomorrow's meetings, followed by a task list of remaining tasks that he should finish before he closes out work for the day. He'll mark a few complete, reschedule another for tomorrow, and then click next. To select an optional method of mindfully disconnecting and winding down from the day, he'll select one powered by Headspace and begin a guided meditation.
So once you're sitting comfortably, just starting with 2 or 3 big, deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth.
And so now a few days have passed, and Lee's onboarding adventure at Contoso has gone quite smoothly. Powered by our human resources bot inside of Teams, Lee has been able to keep track of and complete a number of different tasks that new employees must accomplish, as well as become familiar with a number of different external systems that are valuable for Contoso employees. Now, another element of the employee journey is this idea about continued education. Obviously, we have our mandatory corporate training, the stuff that must be completed every year and we must check the box on, but then there is also potentially an entire set of learning materials that have been collected and curated by employees themselves that are directly helpful and relevant to the role that the employee is in. So how do we get this information shared and easily found by other employees? And how do we make the entire learning experience seamless, given that we might be connecting multiple learning management systems? Well, by using the Viva Employee Experience platform for learning and then funneling that type of activity again through our HR bot, Contoso is going to be able to make this a really efficient process for their employees. Now in his third week at Contoso, Lee will begin his day, and our HR onboarding bot is going to send him a reminder that he has corporate mandatory training that is due that he has not yet completed. By clicking on the button that says View in Viva Learning, the bot will jump Lee out to the Welcome to Contoso team, where a tab has been pinned by Human Resources, which contains a curated list of training classes displayed as tiles. Now, these classes are coming from a number of different learning management systems that Contoso utilizes. Cornerstone On Demand, Saba, SAP SuccessFactors, things like that. Now, all of these external LMS integrations are being consolidated and brought under the hood of Viva Learning, which is a part of our employee experience platform, the Viva Suite. And by doing this, we're able to give a seamless one-stop experience for employees to get all of their training and learning needs. Lee will select the Contoso Security and Compliance training course, and by clicking on it, it will jump him out to the Viva Learning module associated with that course and automatically play the training slides and video for him to consume. Now, during the course, Lee can come up to the top right and bookmark it for further review later on if he wishes, and once the course is complete, he has the opportunity to rate it based off of his experience. He will now move back to the list of training materials that have been recommended, and he will select Key Principles of GDPR. He's going to add this course to his calendar for later viewing. He'll select the date and time he wishes to set aside for the course, and by clicking Save, Viva Learning will automatically book the time on his calendar. He will go through the same scheduling process on the other GDPR course and be all set with his training schedule for the day. And of course, if Lee were to accidentally miss attending one of these training courses, like he happened to do here with the security and compliance class, our HR onboarding bot will prompt him with a reminder and a link taking him to Viva Learning, where he can access the security and compliance training course. And by clicking on the course window, it will take him to Pluralsight, where this particular course is hosted. He can start the course directly from the screen and complete it so that he gets off the corporate naughty list. And anytime Lee wants, he can go and visit the Viva Learning app inside of Teams to get a complete dashboard view of all corporate training in the company. And from here, he can mark certain interests that he has so that Viva Learning can begin to categorize new recommended training based off of these skill sets or particular interest areas that an employee has. And he can click the My Learning tab to get a complete history of all the courses that he's taken, new recommendations, courses that have been completed, recently viewed, and he can always use the search bar to seek out specific learning modules and training courses that are not readily visible on the dashboard view. Again, all of this is consolidated across multiple different learning platforms, all in one area, a huge benefit to Contoso employees. Now, moving along, Lee is working in the product engineering team when he receives a chat from Nestor. Recall, Nestor is the employee that is retiring and who Lee is now replacing. Nestor lets Lee know that he has been added to the Mark 8 project team, which is one of the key projects that Nestor's been working on while he's been in role within the product engineering department. And inside this team, Nestor has created a channel where he has curated a number of learning materials that new members of the project can utilize as they're onboarding and getting familiar with the various requirements that the project has. Now, this tab that Nestor added is a link directly into the Viva Learning system. And yes, this is the same system that we saw just a moment ago with the corporate training. But in this case, rather than being corporate mandated training, this is a curated list of training material that is recommended to a set of employees by one of their peers. And this is exactly what Nestor has done here. On the screen, we can see tiles, which are links to training modules across LinkedIn Learning and Pluralsight that Nestor feels are recommended for members of this project to complete in order to produce their best work. Lee will choose one of the courses that's of interest to him and bookmark it for easy access in the future. And so Lee will click on the Managing Projects with Microsoft Teams module, which is a LinkedIn Learning training course, And it will jump him out directly into the LinkedIn Learning training module where he can watch it and consume it right within Teams. Fast forwarding a bit, and Lee has finished his training course on LinkedIn Learning when he receives another Teams chat. This time, Nestor is directly sharing another course with Lee. This comes from Microsoft Learn and is accessible through Viva Learning as well. By clicking on the course link inside the Teams chat, it will take him directly to Viva Learning and this particular module on Excel automation using Power Automate. From this view, Lee can see a description of the course, as well as all related course material in case he wants to browse further. Using the drop-down box, Lee will indicate that the course is in progress, and he will slide the toggle to enable Nestor to be able to track his progress. He can then view the video, rate the content, and ultimately come back and choose that the course is completed once he actually finishes it. Lee can then go and recommend this exact same course to a colleague by using the button at the very top. He'll then search for Irvin, who was a new hire that he met during orientation. He can type a quick note and then click the recommend button to send this off to Irvin as an activity alert inside of Teams. Okay, so as valuable as all of this official training is, it's only one piece of the puzzle. There is also this element of tribal knowledge that exists within our employees and within the various productivity assets that they work with on a daily basis. Now, this could be SharePoint sites and files and various team elements. Regardless of what all of this is, it is guaranteed that it is everywhere. And there needs to be a way to collect it all and establish a relationship between these elements. This relational umbrella is what we're going to call a topic. And one of the solutions in our Viva suite, Viva Topics, uses AI to automatically search and identify these topics inside an organization. It will compile information about them, such as descriptions, who's working on it, sites, files, and pages, all the things that are related to it, and then make these topics available to your users. And this solves a key business challenge that many companies face. So think about it. For Lee, who's just been added to the Mark 8 project, he's going to be encountering terms he knows nothing about. He's going to be trying to read through all this company information and get it very quickly. He might actually have to step away from what he's doing and spend valuable time searching for all these details, such as information about what a particular term means, who in the organization is a subject matter expert, and which sites and documents are all related to this topic. Well, lucky for Lee, Nestor, as part of his activities before he leaves the company, he has pinned to the Mark 8 project team a tab that is the Mark 8 topic. And directly from this topic inside Teams, Lee has the ability to see all of the different monikers and related terminology associated to Mark 8, the people who are top contributors, all of the different files and pages that exist around this Mark 8 project, suggested files and pages that could be related, sites that could be related, all of this information right here in one page. And at the very bottom, Lee has the ability to see a map of related topics that he can navigate through and explore to see all of the different relationships between Mark 8 and other associated areas of knowledge within Contoso. So now we are nearing the end of our story, and Lee is fully onboarded into Contoso and the product engineering department, and he's ready to step in and take over the role vacated by Nestor. Now, we can't forget about Nestor because he is retiring and leaving the company. So let's take a look at a few different ways that Nestor can utilize some of the same technology, that HR automation, some of the same tools from the Viva suite to accomplish an effective offboarding process. And ultimately, we want to minimize the disruption to the business, especially when we have somebody who is a SME and knowledge expert and project owner for many corporate initiatives over a long career within the company. And so we'll just look at a couple of different things that we can do to try to make this process a little bit better and to make sure that our new employee who's stepping into the role vacated by Nestor establishes himself as the new owner of these corporate initiatives and corporate assets. Okay, so it's about 10 days until Nestor's official last day at Contoso, and here he is in Teams, and you can see him right here. And Contoso HR is going to use some of the same technology that they utilize for employee onboarding for employee offboarding. And here we can see there is a departing Contoso bot. And really, this is another Power Virtual Agent named a little differently and branded a little differently, but it functions in very much the same way. And so in this particular circumstance for Nestor, he will be presented with common tasks that human resources feel employees that are leaving the company should accomplish. So we have the ability to directly from the bot send find time to our manager, request packaging to return corporate devices, or notify HR about certain insurance needs. And like with the onboarding bot, Nestor can click any of these and it will connect him to a site within Teams with the various task cards that need to be completed. He can click on any of them to get more information and then mark them complete from this interface if needed. So when we look at this list of task cards that we want our employees to accomplish before they leave the company, some of them could require multiple steps and be a little bit cumbersome. Specifically, if we look at the cancel recurring meetings task, this would require a user to go through and find all of their recurring meetings, cancel them, perhaps decline any new meetings that come through, and provide an explanation that they're leaving the company and are no longer going to be participating in corporate meetings. Well, staying true to the name of the automated employee experience, these are the exact types of things that using the functionality in our Power Virtual Agent, we can accomplish and automate for our user, complex workflows and tasks just like this. So if Nestor comes back out to the bot, he can type exactly what he needs help and automation in accomplishing. So in this case, he's going to type cancel meetings. And because this is a task that our offboarding bot understands, it will then reply with a list of options that Nestor can choose from for canceling meetings. The bot can help him cancel any scheduled meetings that he has recurring on his calendar or auto-decline any meetings that happen post his departure date. So he's going to choose the option to cancel post-departure scheduled meetings. And the bot will respond and ask him to include a message to accompany his meeting cancellation so that all of the meeting attendees understand why the meeting is being canceled and that Nestor's moving on. The Contoso offboarding bot will then automatically connect to the mail server, perform a discovery on Nestor's calendar, locate all of the recurring meetings, send a meeting cancellation through the email system to all the attendees of the meetings, beginning after Nestor's departure date. And as we can see here, the bot located 23 total meetings and canceled them. Performing this task is normally way too cumbersome for our employees to actually want to do. However, doing it is very beneficial to overall business process. And here we've given the Contoso employees that are leaving the company an easy, automated way to accomplish it. Fast forwarding another day or so, and our offboarding bot is going to assist Nestor in accomplishing something that is highly critical to maintaining that sort of business continuity that we've been talking about when an employee leaves, and that is transferring knowledge records that you may have been responsible for during your career at the company to a new individual so that anybody else who is working on projects or trying to maintain this knowledge is not disrupted because of a change of employment. So our offboarding bot will first message Nestor and give him a little recap of some of the highlights of his career over the years. And we're pulling this data from Workday. If you recall, Workday is the HRMS for Contoso. We will acknowledge him for his 14 years of dedicated work at Contoso and his recognitions as an Employee of the Month on multiple times in North America. And then we'll advise him that he should go into Viva topics and change stakeholders for the various topics that he's been responsible for over the years. And if you recall, Contoso uses Viva topics to gather all of this corporate knowledge and corporate assets and keep it organized for the company. So when Nestor clicks on the link, it will take him directly to the Viva Topics Topic Center right within Teams, where he can see the list of the suggested topics that the system feels he could be listed on, as well as the confirmed connections to topics. And these are the ones that we really care about, Mark 8 and Mark 8.1. And Nestor now can click into any of these topics where he's listed as a stakeholder and owner. And yes, this is the same Mark 8 as the project that we saw earlier in the demonstration. So from here, Nestor will put the page into edit mode and he'll scroll down and he will add Lee as a project stakeholder. He'll put Lee's name, it will automatically search and find him, and then he can describe how Lee is related to the project. So he's going to indicate that Lee is the project engineering lead for Mark 8, and then he will go and remove himself because he is no longer going to be associated with the project. He'll then move Lee into the first place on the pinned people list and republish the knowledge topic. This effectively will make Lee the SME for Mark 8 moving forward. And of course, the other half of this knowledge transfer equation rests with Lee. Once he has been added as a stakeholder and owner of this topic, here he is in Teams, you can see him up here, and he now has the ability to fully edit and contribute in an administrative fashion to this topic. For instance, he can enter the topic edit mode, update the description, adjust the pinned stakeholders, much like Nestor did, come down to the pinned files and pages and begin to refine and curate content. So let's say this particular PowerPoint Mark 8 sales pitch is no longer relevant to the project. He can remove it. He can then also scroll down and begin to make new connections on the topic map. By clicking on the plus sign, he can search for a topic and then manually generate a new relationship, in this case to the Mark 8.1 topic. He can then help other people understand how this knowledge is connected and generated within the company by updating the relationship description and then republishing the Mark 8 topic. By utilizing Viva Topics, Lee is able to instantly step into Nestor's shoes, pick up right where he left off on projects and activities, and do it in a way where the rest of these corporate stakeholders are minimally disrupted by Nestor's absence. Well, we have covered a tremendous amount of content in about 45 to 50 minutes. Hopefully you learned something new, hopefully you found something valuable, but most of all, I hope you've been inspired to build something like you just saw, or exactly what you just saw. Through clever use of the various components of the Viva platform and the Power platform, we are able to refine and automate a lot of these common human resources tasks that can be quite challenging or cumbersome to deploy manually in an organization. And by rolling it all under the lens of Teams, we're able to give a really efficient and streamlined process for our employees, who really are our customers, while also hopefully taking some of the load away from our HR professionals so that they have a better experience performing their job duties. My name is Lee Borschow. It has been a pleasure being here with you today, and I sincerely thank you for joining us. Have a fantastic remainder of your day, and please be on the lookout for the next edition of the Teams App Factory.